The Solidarity Singers, as they're known, have been a fixture at noontime at the state capitol ever since the protests of Act 10 5 years ago. But now state taxpayers are going to pay for a settlement with a Madison radio host who was arrested when Capitol Police cracked down on the protests in 2013. The state will pay $75,000 to Dominic Salvia, co-host of the Devil's Advocates program on the Mike 92.1, although we should say some of that money is clearly going for legal costs. Dom Salvia and his co-host, Mike Crute of the Devil's Advocates, join us now on Upfront. Gentlemen, it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Dominic, let's begin with you and help people understand why you have pursued this matter in court. Why is it so important to you?
It's the First Amendment issue, certainly. I want to make it very clear, I voted for Scott Walker in the recall. I did not go down to the Capitol that day to seek any sort of arrest. Crute and I had a previous lunch engagement. 9 minutes from when I left my car door on the street to handcuffs. In that time, about 4 minutes in the rotunda, reading the sign, observing the situation, taking pictures, police officers walk up to me, inform me I'm participating in a protest, and of course I was not, and proceeded to arrest me for no reason, even after I turned around and walked away in compliance with their orders to leave. That's a problem.
You said you were also arrested at this protest, Mike Crute.
Yeah, but I had crossed the line. Dominic represented and was there acting as working media. I made a conscientious effort and a decision. I was so abhorred by what I was seeing that day, Mike. They were handcuffing little old ladies, and I didn't like it. And I took a conscious decision, made a conscious step. I knew I was getting arrested, and I knew that as a guy who does okay in business, separate from the radio show, I had the resources to get a good attorney and to go fight these claims.
What's your take on this settlement? Why do you think the Walker administration and the Attorney General decided to settle now?
Well, they settled because it was going to cost them a whole hell of a lot more money if they didn't. Jeff Scott Olson is a really good attorney, and he's quite pricey as well. And I think at this point, they just wanted to be done with it. There's going to be more coming. I think this is a good point for them to say, hey, there was absolutely really no reason. Of course, in the settlement, they never admit liability of any sort.
Right.
But it was very evident that they were wrong in this decision to arrest me, and I don't know how they could not settle. To go to court, I think it'd be even a bigger mess for this administration.
The federal trial date was set for October 24th, right before the November election. I think that factored in as well.
So let's talk now about what's next. And both of you have said that this is not done here, that there's likely to be a class action lawsuit. What would the class action lawsuit accomplish at this point in time?
Well, all 300 plus of the prior citations and arrests were under what has been ruled an unconstitutional code, emergency rules. They've since expired. It's gone to the Wisconsin Court of Appeals, State v. Crute. That's me. And we've already fought the criminal side of this. All of these tickets have already been dismissed because the arrests were unconstitutional. Well, Dominic drew first blood in the federal courts. And it is hard to get justice in the Wisconsin courts anymore if you know the eventuality is you could end up before a partisan Supreme Court. So we're going to the federal courts. It's not if, it's when. We got to get through the conventions, Philly and Cleveland, but when we get back, our attorney assures us I will be a litigant in a class action suit. He has over 75 assembled clients to date, and that number will grow. But each of those people we think have a valid claim for damages against the state of Wisconsin because the courts have already found, and it's been upheld by the Wisconsin Appeals Court, unconstitutional. All of these arrests made by the Walker administration were unconstitutional.
Well, let me have you address this point because clearly this is a very important matter to the two of you and to the other people who were arrested. But if there's a class action lawsuit and there are damages, state taxpayers end up paying. Does that give either one of you pause about continuing to pursue this?
If I can, Dominic, no, absolutely not. We find out the governor and the taxpayers are wasting $300 million a year on a manufacturer and agribusiness credit that's not generating any jobs. So why should we feel bad? I mean, if the governor can waste money on litigation like the anti-abortion admitting rules, they were taking that one to the U.S. Supreme Court. Mike, there's no reason for us to feel bad if we're unconstitutionally arrested and the state is forced to pay damages. I'm going to cash the check, sir.
While certainly I do have some reservations as a taxpayer, I never liked this, but this is a result of this administration and the folks that voted him in. I guess the greater concern that I have, and what I hope the takeaway is this, as you mentioned, this is important to us and those that are arrested. This is important for everybody in the state of Wisconsin. We hear a lot of, if this were Governor Doyle or President Obama, or if the never-Trumpers, if this was Donald Trump arresting people like this, it would be all over the news. But since it's in Wisconsin, this is run and owned by Republicans, they just poo-poo the whole thing. It's like, oh, no big deal. We'll sweep it under the rug. This is a very important First Amendment case. I think everybody should be concerned. If you're concerned about an authoritarian government, we've got it right here in Wisconsin.
Dominic Salvia and Mike Crute, they are the hosts of the radio show in Madison, Devil's Advocates. Thanks very much for being with us today. We appreciate it.